D-Man here.
Yep.
Just telling
Yep.
you,
Yep.
I hope you like
I
this
hope you like this
video.
video. Yep. I do.
So let's get in
Yeah.
to the video.
Let's do it.
Enjoy.
Yeah. Enjoy. Hey guys, D-Man here, doing another movie review. The other day, I did a movie review of Wolf Children, and it was because someone commented if it reminded me of BoJack Horseman, and he also commented if this movie reminded me of BoJack Horseman. And this movie is Grave of the Flies, as you can see right here, Grave of the Flies. Um, does this movie remind me of BoJack Horseman? Not in the slightest sense. I just want to get that out of the way, just to answer that question that person had. Um, I've seen all three and I've answered all three questions. The first one was Wolf Among Children. The second one was this one, and the third one was Rick and Morty. Not Rick and Morty. I mean, regular show. Uh, and most those two remind me of it only with the human slash animal hybrids. And this show doesn't remind me of it at all. I don't know why it would remind you of it, but that's cool, I guess. If it reminds you, I guess. Whatever. Um, but anyways, let's get into the review of this movie. Okay, so this movie's pretty old, so I'm just gonna do a quick ratings of it and then go right into spoilers. If you haven't watched this movie, I do suggest going to watch it first before you watch this review because it's gonna be spoiler, spoiler, spoiler. But my ratings for this movie is actually first off, let's explain the ratings. 1 out of 10, one being the worst, 10 being the best, five being just middle of the road average. I would say this movie is a 7. There's a lot of problems with this movie, but it has a very satisfying ending, which is a lot to say because a lot of movies I watch don't have satisfying endings, but this one has a very satisfying ending. Uh, very satisfying. Okay, so let's get into spoilers. Um, this movie is about a kid, two kids actually, who are in war times in Japan. They lose their mother. Their father is a war guy, I guess you'd call it. Um, they go live with their, I think it's their aunt. I'm gonna call her cunt because she's a cunt. So they go live with cunt. Um, and then at the end they go live in a shelter, and she dies. Like, see, here they are right here. Here's the big brother. Here's the little girl, and she dies at the end, which is pretty sad. It has like this really satisfying ending. To be honest, it has this really sad, somber, just really sad ending. But at the end, they actually turn to ghosts and they find each other and they stay with each other. Like right here, I'm pretty sure that's them as ghosts, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, like at the end, it's really sad. But throughout this movie, he's just trying to keep his sister alive, and he's the older brother, but he can't. And at the end, he also dies, but he dies as a bum. He dies as a bum. He lives for a while after his sister dies, and then eventually dies as a bum. What do I have to say about this movie in general? First off, I will say this movie is predictable. That is one of my gripes with it. It's very predictable. It is a little bit too long, in my personal opinion. To be honest, I think this movie would have been better as a short, like a 10 to half an hour short. Anywhere in between those, it could have been a really good little short film. But instead, they draw it out a little bit too long, to be honest. They draw it out a little bit too long, to be honest. But it has a really good, satisfying ending, so I can deal with the drawn out time. Uh, a lot of this stuff that's drawn out, by the way, is just a lot of kind of run of the mill life stuff that's kind of just boring. So that's one of the reasons I didn't like why it was so drawn out. But all in all, it's a good movie. But it's very predictable. You could tell that the little girl was gonna die. You could tell that the mother was gonna die as soon as she left the house first, which is a very surprising shock to me that she left the house first. Uh, Personally, and just in my experience, most mothers would be like, I'm not leaving the house without my kids or without my grandkids or whatever. I'm not leaving the house without you guys. But for some reason in this movie, she does leave the house and leaves the kids to leave after her, which is just weird to me. I don't know. Maybe that's like Japanese culture, or maybe that's just because this movie's so old and that's what happened in the olden times. All I know is that in this day and age, at least me personally, my mother would not leave without me or my sister or my grandkids. She'd be like, if we're gonna leave, we're all gonna leave together. But I get why she left first in this movie because if she didn't, it would have ruined the plot because she might have been saved or they all might have been killed at the same time because she dies when she leaves first. So I get why she left first. It would ruin the plot if she didn't. Even though in reality, I hope, at least in this situation, they would leave together. To be honest, but I don't know. That's just my personal opinion because that's what most mothers would do, in my personal opinion. At least most good mothers. Although I can't say she wasn't a good mother because obviously she probably was, but she's left them without that. I don't know. Um, and then after she dies, they go live with their aunt. If I'm not mistaken, it's their aunt. But as I said, I was gonna call her cunt because she's acts nice to them and stuff, but at the end of the day, she acts like a complete cunt to them too because she's just like, "Oh, my family deserves rice balls. You guys deserve porridge because you guys are fucking waste of space. You do nothing. You're lazy. You're blah 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 blah." And she's just like, you're old enough when the air raids happen. You should go out and stop the fires. And if I was this kid, my rebuttal to that would be, and like trust you with my fucking sister. Like obviously you don't give a shit about me and my sister, right? Because she doesn't. She blatantly doesn't. You can tell it just by the tone of her voice. She doesn't give a shit about him and his sister. She thinks they're freeloaders. So she's just like, go help them turn out the fires and maybe I'll respect you more. And it's just like, oh yeah, because then my sister will lag behind because you're too fucking lazy to carry her. And she's only a fucking child. And then all of a sudden I find her dead and you're in the shelter going, I'm sorry, I couldn't protect her. I couldn't carry her because I'm a fucking cunt. And I don't really care about your little girl. I don't really care about your sister. I care more about my husband and my daughter. So that I could see both sides, to be honest. He is a little bit lazy, and his sister's a child, so I can see why she's lazy. But he is a little bit lazy. But she expects him to do stuff that I would. But he doesn't trust. I don't think he trusts her enough to take care of his sister because, to be honest, I think she would abandon this little girl. Like if the fire was raining down and he went to help people and help put out the fires and stuff, and this little girl laid behind, I think she would fucking abandon this little girl because she was a cunt that didn't care about the kids. She was a cunt that did not care about these kids. For a while, it seemed like she did, but then at the end, it's just like, no, she totally doesn't care about these kids. She doesn't care about these fucking kids. She's a complete another cunt. But I can also see her point of view because they were a little bit lazy. They started to cook their own food and stuff, but they made her do the dishes still, which is stupid. Personally, if I'm in this situation where I have to live with this cunt and she wants me to do shit, I might as well help her around the house and I might as well do as much as I can. I might as well go look for work and stuff and do as much as I can to help her to shut her the fuck up and not make her call me lazy and shit. Even though personally, I think even if this kid right here, this little kid right here, even if he did all that to appease his fucking cunt of an aunt, I still think she would have been like, "You're not doing enough. You need to do more." Blah 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 blah. You kids are a lot of trouble. Blah 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 blah. Because that's just what a lot of people are like, and that's what I think that she was like. I don't think it would have mattered if he would have went out and did a bunch of stuff and brought food home and did all this stuff. I think she would have still treated him as second class to her own family, just second class citizens, and she wouldn't have gave a shit about them. And that kind of pisses me off, to be honest. Personally, if one of my relatives died And I was like the only relative left, and they gave me their fucking kids, okay? Kids that I don't even know, okay? Kids that I don't even know. I would not treat them like they were fucking second class to my own family. I would not treat them like they were fucking garbage and like they should do more around the house and stuff. Of course, I would ask them to do more around the house. I would ask them to do as much as I ask any other person to do around the house. You know, I'd be like, hey, clean your room, clean this, do this, please. You know, just like I ask everybody else in my house to do. But I would treat them as a part of my family. I would try to treat them as best as I could in the situation, you know? Like, if their parents died, I'd be like, you know what? Your parents died, but you're with me, and I'm gonna treat you as if you're my own goddamn like my own goddamn kids. Like I will not let you feel alone and feel abandoned. You know, I will treat you like you're my own kids. At least that's my personal opinion. Even though it would be really hard for me and really hard for them, I would treat them as if they were my own kids. And I feel like that's what most people should do, but that's not what most people do. I feel like a lot of people might do that, but a lot of people might not. They might treat them like they're just nuisances, and that's so fucked up to me. I think I don't know, man. Like if something like this happened to one of my family members, and I had to look after their kids, I'm not gonna treat them like pieces of shit. You know, I'm just saying. If something like this ever happens to you, I implore you not to treat them like pieces of shit, cause that's just a fucked up thing to do. You know, these kids just lost their mother and stuff, their father and stuff. You gotta treat them like they're your own family. That's what you gotta do. You gotta treat them like they're your own family. And if your kids start getting jealous, you gotta tell your kids that they're family and stuff like that. You know, you gotta tell them they're family. You know, personally, I never went through this. I never had to watch a dead relative's children. But if I ever did, I would treat them like they're my own kids, like they're my own family. But you know, that's just my opinion on this whole thing. I wouldn't act like a cunt like the girl in this. She acts like a complete cunt. I don't know. This is my personal opinion. I just had to go on a little rant there. Sorry about that. Let's get back to the movie. um, so eventually, her aunt acts like such a fucking like their aunt acts like such a fucking cunt that they move to a bomb shelter. And they try to keep alive. The little girl gets sick, and the doctor says it's because of malnutrition. And a lot of people might be saying, well, if they stuck with the aunt, she wouldn't be dead at this point. They would have been like yelled at and stuff, but I don't think the aunt would have kicked them out anytime soon because she wasn't that horrible a person. She probably wanted to keep up appearances, to be honest. But a lot of people might say, well, she wouldn't have died because she died of malnutrition. But if you see in the beach scene, which there is a beach scene right here, see, this is the beach scene. In this scene, you see this rash on her back. Well, you don't see it here, but in the scene, in the show, you can see a rash on her back. And by the end of the show, this rash takes over her body. And I think that this rash was an illness. I don't know what kind of illness, but I think it was an illness that eventually killed her. I think if they would have stayed with the aunt, she would have lived longer, like maybe by like a year or so. But I still think she would have died because this rash was like this illness. So I think she would have died from this illness that she had. That I didn't know what it was, and I don't think he knew what it was, but it was definitely there before, even before they moved out to go live on their own, and they were like eating just whatever they could get. You know, even before that, she had this rash. So I think that eventually she would have died anyways. To be honest, maybe a little bit slower, but she would have died still. So yeah, that's a thing. Um, they lived off the land for a bit there. I don't think they did it properly, to be honest, but they're only kids, so you can't blame them for it. I think they could have done that a lot better if they had knowledge about it, obviously, but they don't. But yeah, like I'm pretty sure she was sick beforehand. She would have died anyways, to be honest. Um, but yeah. But yeah, like in general, this whole show was a really good show, except for like all the long-winded parts that were kind of boring and stupid that you didn't really need in it. But you at the end you do feel for these two kids, and they die. Both at the end they die, and they become ghosts and get to see each other again. At least that's what I assume happens, because that's what we kind of get led to believe that they're both ghosts and they get to see each other again. Although we never get to see their mother and father as ghosts ever again, even though they're ghosts too, which is kind of confusing to me. But whatever, I guess. But at the end, they're both ghosts, and they get to see each other, and it's really like oh that's cool. Personally, I don't know if I believe in an afterlife, to be honest. I don't know if you die, you'll get to go see your dead family or whatever or what have you. I think it's a nice thought. I think it's a nice thought. I just don't think it's realistic. You know, it's realistic. But if that gets you through the day, it gets you through the day, dude. That's cool with me, man. But at the end, she just she sort of just dies, you know. But they do bring her back, sort of, I guess. So that's pretty nice. It's 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 a nice show. It's just a little bit weird, I guess. You know, it's nice though. It's nice. Huh. Not much else to say about it. It's just a good show, in my personal opinion. Not much else to say about it. Um, it's about war times, as I previously said, which is actually it. It kind of does represent war times pretty well. Uh, Sadly, that's what happens in wars. People die. They lose their families. Luckily, most people don't have to deal with that in modern times, except for like third world countries and stuff like that, which is sad that they have to deal with stuff like this on a daily basis, probably. But most people don't have to deal with it nowadays. But yeah, that's what happens in war. Stupid people start wars, and then everybody else get affected. Everybody else gets affected by it. It's stupid. I think I heard the best once off of I think it was Grand Theft Auto 4, where Nico said, "Wars are started by greedy old people that want something from the other person, and then they're fought by young, stupid, angry people that think that just that don't think right. That they're fought by young, stupid, angry people that are mad at the world, and but they're started by greedy old people that just want stuff from another country that they don't deserve because it's another country's stuff. It's basically just this stuff. It's like war is like where greedy people want something, and then they send young people that are stupid enough to go to fight for them. And all these old people sit in their high horses and high chairs and never get killed, but all the young people that they send out do get killed. It's pretty sad, but it's real. It's real. It's real. Uh, Too bad there's not peace. That sucks, man. It sucks. But that's just what war is. Um. Anyways, this movie, as I said, 1 out of 10. 1 being the worst, 10 being the best, 5 being average, 7. I really enjoyed this movie. I really did. I really liked it. A lot of it could have been cut out, to be honest, and it would have been better. But it has a really satisfying ending. Really sad, but then you kind of get like this glimpse of hope when she comes as a ghost and they're both together as ghosts. Uh, all in all, really good movie. Reminder: don't ever act like the cunt. Don't ever act like the cunt. And if you ever are in a situation where you have a cunt like that raising you, just get through it. Cause if you can get through it, man or girl, like person, your life could get better. I'm not here to say it's gonna get better, cause that's a bunch of crap. A lot of people will say your life will always get better, but to be honest, that's not necessarily true. Uh, it's just not. I'm sorry to say that. But as long as you work hard and stuff, your life can get better. So just try your best to get your life better, and hopefully it will work. But yeah, at the end, really good movie. And I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you enjoyed this movie in general. And if you did, like, comment, subscribe, and share. And as always, my friends, stay sane. Peace.
Hey guys, D-Man here. Just remind you to subscribe by clicking here. It works on mobile. Or click here to watch my last video. It also works on mobile. Just remember, subscribe and stuff.
Yeah,
Alright,
do it.
bye-bye.
Subscribe.